Hi everyone, Jessica here, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be doing a fun technique where we're going to create 4 panels from one sheet of A4 cardstock. So I'm calling this a centre split card. Again, so you'll be able to get 4, so I'm doing A6, UK A6 size cards, so you'll be able to get 4 panels out of one sheet of A4 cardstock. This is the stamp set that I'm going to be using, so this is the Ultra Watercolour Roses, and I just thought because we've got some solid images in here, it is going to work perfectly. We are going to be creating, like I said, some A6 card bases, and I'm doing something that I don't normally do, but I'd like to get into a little bit more, which is creating some coloured card bases. So this is created from the Creative Expressions foundation card, and this is a barely grey, so it's very, very light, probably looks more like a cream, white cream on camera. I've created 2 of my card bases, so I wanted them actually to be portrait with the side opening, but these are actually going to be top folding, or we could do these as side opening landscapes, but I'm going to show you with the second piece of cardstock when we get to that stage how I create my card bases. So this is the stamp set, this is the colour combination I've picked, something a little bit different, but I did find the combination on Pinterest, which is a really great tool to use if you want to find colour combinations. So here we've got mustard seed, crackling campfire, broken china, cracked pistachio and speckled egg. So we're going to just see how we can get those to kind of work together. So I'm going to put the stamp set to one side for the moment. I've got a piece of cardstock here. My camera's going to darken just a little bit until we start actually stamping onto here, but we need to add just a few marks onto our cardstock. So I have cut this down ever so slightly already, just to help with measurements. At the moment my brain is all over the place, so whatever makes things easier for me, and then we will need to trim them down a little bit just to have a border actually on our card bases. So I've got a T-square ruler, which is going to be one of the easiest tools to use because obviously you can just butt it right up to the edge, and you want just a light pencil because we're going to be stamping over it. So we need to find the center going both ways. So I've actually trimmed this down from an A4 piece of cardstock. This is 11.5 by 8 inches. So obviously the 11.5 we're going to go 5.25. So I'm just going to do a very light mark just there. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to line up my ruler with that mark, and then I'm going to find the centre, which is just here. So again, really, really lightly, I'm just going to draw that pencil mark in, and then I come back and do it again. You want it to be just light enough where you can see it, but then also not so dark where you won't be able to rub it out afterwards. So hopefully you can see that. So again, so I've done 4 inches down and 5.75 across. So now we've got our sort of template of where we're going to be stamping sorted. I've got just a bunch of acrylic blocks here. Let's pull out our stamp set. So we definitely want both of our roses. Maybe I'll pop that one on there, and then we're going to add in some different leaves here because we're going to sort of build this image up. Let's do a smaller one there, and then let's just do some nice individual leaves. Do this one, and then we've got a couple smaller ones there as well if we want to use those just to fill in a few gaps. So let's just move these along the top. Let's bring in our cardstock again, just to make sure you can see it. And what I'm going to do is each stamp is going to be stamped in a separate, in one colour. So we're not going to mix the colours of the stamps. So I think let's start with the largest. It'll be easier to start with the largest stamp, so you can make sure that you kind of get those foundation images down, and then we can, you know, fill in all the gaps with those. So definitely the leaves are going to be in more of the cracked pistachio, speckled egg. I thought that would be nice for the background. So let's just go with the crackling campfire, because this isn't a colour that I use all that often. These are stamps that I have used before, but they are very solid, so you know the impression hopefully will be good. And I've stamped this just ever so slightly off centre. If I just leave that there a second, you can see the lines coming in from here. So I've just stamped that ever so slightly off centre. So there's our first one. So that actually stamped really, really nicely. Again, you do want to kind of condition your stamps, especially big ones like this, which are just solid images. So let's go one here. And what you want to try and do is, these are the 4 panels that are going to make up our card fronts. So what we want to make sure is that you get a nice amount of each of the images. Even though I've just smudged all on there, maybe we can pop a sentiment on that bit. So that's that one. So again, I'm not sort of too worried if I miss some sort of areas of it, but I want to make sure that I get a nice amount in each. Just gonna pop this under here so I can do a little off the edge stamping. Let's just load up that again. So we're going to come into this panel a little bit more here. So again, you just want to make sure you're coming into all of the 4 panels, because then we're going to cut this one up. So we want at least sort of 2 more of these. So I'm going to come up into, let's come down into this one a little more. And I'm just sort of holding it there. I'm just letting that ink set into the paper. This cardstock that I'm using is a 300 GSM. I'm using a heavier weight cardstock just because my card bases are, I think they're 220 GSM possibly. So I want to make sure that I get a nice sort of sturdy front, just to help that card keep its shape. And then this one, we'll just kind of go maybe more in the centre. Then we're going to come in with our second size. I'm just going to move that for the moment. Come in with our second side, and we're going to do then mustard seed for this one. And then we can kind of sort of decide, do you know, I think I might overlap them just a little bit as well, just for a slightly different look. Onto that one. So these are going to create corner designs for these card panels. So you can kind of choose how far you want to come into that panel. Okay, so next we're going to bring in our leaves here, and we're going to come in with a little bit of cracked pistachio for our largest leaf. And what we want to do is just kind of tuck it in to some of these gaps just in here. So again, just slightly overlapping as well. So these are going to create some really lovely bright card fronts, and you're creating 4 cards really easily just from one sheet. So it's almost like this is a one sheet wonder and you're getting 4 cards out of this. But again, because we've centered the stamping in the middle, that's why I called it a center split card. So again, we're just getting this kind of foundation down, and we're just gonna fill in and kind of bring it in more with those other flowers. Let's do this in the speckled egg, because I don't want that broken china to really take anything away, and I'm hoping that this speckled egg might just sort of blend in quite nicely into the background and not kind of be too overpowering. You might not be able to tell the difference on camera between the two colours just yet. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave that there again. So it is slightly darker in here. It is a little bit it's later in the evening, so it is darker, so hopefully you can kind of see those colors and things. In real life it is really nice and bright. I'm hoping maybe when we've cut this down it won't be kind of quite as dull, but one of these things is you can't really be too precious about kind of what's going on. To be honest, it is kind of, you know, you get what you get with it. You don't need to kind of plan too much, but all I'm going to do now is actually just trim along those pencil marks that we've made in both directions, and this is going to create those panels. But again, sometimes it is quite nice sort of not really knowing what it is that you're going to get. So that is one panel, so perhaps like not as much on there. This is the second one, so maybe we could have come in a little bit more, but again it just is one of those things where it kind of you know, you sort of get what you get. But this is something that I definitely want to try again to see what we can do. So again, not sort of too much on that one, but this one here, annoying that I got some ink on there, but obviously you've got more of those flowers on there. So now we can just take a look at the 4 panels that we've got here. So again, let me just I'm trying to keep an eye on making sure that I stay in frame. But yeah, so some of these obviously have a little more on the edge and sort of a little bit more going on than others. But again, I think they came out really nicely. So we do need to just trim these down again so they'll fit onto our card bases. So our cards are 4 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So once again, there are our 4 panels here, and we just pop that onto our card base. So I went with this sort of barely grey colour, just for something, you know, a little bit different. So you can have them that way, you could have it up there. I'm just thinking, so obviously I want to pop a sentiment onto these, you know, before I pop them down. So I'm just going to pick out a sentiment. Okay, so I've just sort of tidied it up and I've done a little bit of die cutting. So we've got a gold foiled, a gold mirror card, hello, and then I've just got a little hugs enclosed. I thought that was quite nice. So the hello, I have got a haul. I've got a few things left to come before I show, but I haven't actually used this yet, so I wanted to just really see how it die cut. This is the Paper Rose hello layered die. I got this from Craft Stash. I will leave a link in the description box down below for you to the Craft Stash website for this, but again, I'll bring it up in a the haul video. The hugs enclosed, I just heat embossed that onto some black card with white embossing powder, and this I've had for ages. Simon Says stamp, Just Miss You. I think I placed like 1 or 2 orders maybe with Simon Says stamp, and then because the delivery was ridiculous I never did it again. But on here we have got this chunky hugs enclosed, and then I was just having a little look for something to go on the inside, and they had this send in happy thoughts. So yeah, I've just stamped that on the inside. So these are the 2 card bases that I've already made. I've got the other 2 ready stamped here as well. We're going to make our next card bases next. But yeah, just pop that inside there. So let's just get our card bases, let's move that to one side, done. So again, a piece of cardstock here. Excuse my dog. So the cardstock here, this is 11.5 by 8 inches. I am just going to score this. So we're going to pop it into the scoreboard. So the way, I'll just show you, so the way that I've created these are going to be side folding landscape cards, or of course you can have them top folding portrait. So to get this style, you want to score at 5, well for me, for this particular size of cardstock, 5 3/4, and then cut at 4. If you want to have it as a normal side folding card or a top folding landscape, then you want to score at 4 inches and then cut at 5 3/4. I'm just going to make all 4 of these the same. I was going to make these ones a little different, but we'll just go the same. So I'm going to score at 5 3/4 inches. I'm just going to keep that butted right up against. Let's put that back into the corner. Let's put that down, and then we can use that to make sure that we get a nice good fold. So let's just burnish that. Get our paper trimmer, and again we're going to score this at 4 inches. And then we have the same again. Let's just pop in our insets. Now with this cardstock being slightly thinner than maybe a 300 GSM like pre-made card base, or just making your own from a 300 GSM cardstock, I find with the coloured cards that of course they are slightly thinner. So I think having a sturdy front to it, your mats and layers and things, but then also adding a piece. So of course you could just write, because of the colour of this, you could write just directly onto this and you'll be able to see it. But I think just adding that piece is going to add that strength to the inside of your card. I really love the idea of creating coloured card bases, but yeah, it's just never been something that I've done, and I think that's because the cardstock, coloured cardstock I've got is, you know, just slightly on the thinner side. So we still need our glue. So there's our inside pieces. So I'm going to glue these nice and flat. So again, this was a 300 GSM cardstock that we created our backgrounds on, and this is going to just make that front really, really nice and sturdy. So what I'm going to do is they are going to be top corners, either in this left corner, or then we're going to have ones in the right corner as well. I'm going to get my fine tip bottle. And this has just got that same Nuvo glue. I did have to buy a new set of these because I lost the pin to the bottle that had my Nuvo glue in it. Somewhere, I have no idea where it went. And then I tried to use just a regular pin, and yeah, the bottle just went all funny. The glue went all funny. What we can do to make sure that this is nice and straight is we can bring in our T-square ruler and just pop that on there. So we're going to have the hello to be flat, and then we're going to grab just, for a little bit of dimension. I'm just going to use some of this just to make things a little easier. And then we're going to add our heat embossed. Just pick this up a second. Just tucked underneath. Just like so. And the reason then I've done this as a strip is on the next card, front, was the one that we need to cover up. So that's going to be our card there. So really, really simple in the design, but you know, a lot of fun to create. So I'm just going to pop the rest of these cards together. Okay, so there we have our 4 cards there. So I've got a little bit of glue in that just on that mirror card that you sometimes do, but I'm just going to wait until they are dry. So you can all see they're slightly different. Obviously, you know, the hugs are, the hug and close sentiment strip is slightly away on the different cards, but again, they're all going to go to the same person. Not every card has to be absolutely identical. And then we have our send and happy thoughts on the inside. So this was a really easy technique to do. Obviously, you're just having one sheet of cardstock. You're only doing one little bit of stamping, and it is a case, like I said, of you get what you get, and that's kind of it. You know, we could have done this sort of design if you pop it back together. But I quite like just having it all in the corners, but you can see just how easy that is. You can see just how easy that is to create 4 cards just from that one panel, that one sheet of A4 cardstock. So I definitely want to try this again with some other stamps to see if I've got other stamps that will work within my stash. Dies will definitely work as well, but obviously you've got to be careful because you are creating something sort of slightly thicker. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I really love how these have come out, and I actually think the colour palette works really nicely together. Even though you don't, like for the leaves, we don't have those kind of traditional colours. That speckled egg definitely works nicely in there as just kind of that background colour. But yeah, I think these come out so beautifully. So definitely try this split, I can't even remember what I called it now, center split panel. It'll be in the title of this video what I decided to call it, because I can't remember now what I was going to call it. But yeah, definitely have a go at this, see what you've got in your stash to make this work. Again, if I can link to the products in the description box down below, I will. There will be affiliate links. Won't cost you any more if you use the links, but I do earn a small commission if you do use those links. So please do check that out. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.